Waiting on. There we go. And we are live. Welcome to the Deal Champs podcast. We have another amazing guest on today. Josh, you might have the highest revenue numbers by the month that we brought in.
I love it.
Oh, really?
I'm excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
We might, as far as wholesale, yeah, bro, I think you do. So I'm super stoked about that. Real quick about myself. My name's Stratton Brown, aka Strat Daddy. I've scaled 2 different companies to 7 figures. We have a 7-figure real estate portfolio of self-storage and single-family houses. And I got started in real estate back in 2018, 2019-ish. And I learned how to make money out of thin air, and it's pretty awesome. We have the Captain America, Mr. Dean Rogers.
What's up, guys? Super excited to be back. Excited to have our guest today. Really excited to dive into that. For those that know my story, got started with my career in the NFL. Then I transitioned to corporate, then transitioned to real estate. Been investing in real estate in Central California for a decade. We've done over 750 deals, have an 8-figure rental portfolio, and Deal Champs community is what it's all about. You guys got to check it out. Go to dealchamps.com to connect with us there.
And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Josh, we'll get your Instagram at the end of this to send them to you too. And man, what are we going to call you, bro? I mean, we're going to call you the master of revenue right now. The master of revenue. Josh G. Thank you for
I would have
coming on,
loved
bro.
that name maybe like 2 months ago, but yeah, I'll still take it. I love it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, bro.
So I got into real estate in 2012. I was a realtor. I was 19 years old, got into real estate in 2012. Didn't know anything about real estate. Didn't know that we were in a recession. And during that time, it was actually 2009, 2009, I got into real estate. So I was a realtor through 2009, 2017. I ended up representing a lot of hedge funds, and I did short sale negotiating. And then that turned into me actually listing houses for banks, REO properties. I started getting a ton of investors who would reach out to buy these deals back in between 2009 and 2000, let's call it 13. So I started learning how they underwrote their deals. After that period of time, I was helping a lot of people flip houses, and then I started slowly learning how to do it myself. I actually transitioned out of being a realtor 2017, had a corporate job in title insurance, where I started flipping houses on the side, building relationships with realtors, and they would bring me their off-market properties. I'd close on those deals and we'd flip them. I started growing. That was pre-COVID. It started growing to a point to where I started doing a ton of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this little side hustle and make it into a real hustle. And started growing my direct to seller operation, and I still do a ton of realtor business as well. So now I flip and wholesale. All of my direct to seller stuff, we primarily wholesale. And then I still have a ton of realtor relationships that I still flip.
Bro, how involved as a realtor are you?
Right now, as a realtor,
yeah.
I'm not active. Yeah, I'm not active as of now.
Okay.
Yeah. I use my license for the MLS and analyze deals and things like that, but I won't list my own stuff or do anything. Yeah. I helped my aunt sell their house last year, but that was not something.
It seems like the main realtor interaction you're having is by getting deals from realtors still.
Correct.
Which, by the way, in San Diego and other big markets seems to be where a lot of opportunity can come, like a lot.
Highest.
It's pretty nuts. I know I'm close friends with a big flipper that had, nation's biggest real estate education company. And that's all they did in San Diego. That was where they had shop set up, and it was just realtor outreach all day, every day. And they would work off deals off the MLS, and they would get some from the MLS, but more so just the relationships from realtors. It's pretty nuts. So do you find that the realtors that you're working with are wanting to do the deals themselves, or no, they want to be a realtor, they want to hand it off to you?
It depends. I think everyone has on their vision board eventually that they'd like to get into flipping houses themselves. I think that for most realtors, stacking up enough cash to get to the point to do that is the hardest challenge. And I think for all of us before we started making money, that probably would have been a huge challenge too. So it's a mixture of both. There's not very many realtors who want to invest in the deals. So I would give them the opportunity to invest in it and take on the risk and have some type of partnership with any of the deals they would bring me. But in most cases, no.
Okay, cool.
What does the intentionality behind that look like? And our good friend Jason is probably the best one I've seen as far as realtor relationships, and probably a third to half of his business comes from referrals.
Mhm.
And all of their flips are typically referrals from realtors, and then the rest, like the direct to seller stuff, they wholesale off. Is it pretty similar for you, or what does that look like?
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, but I would say like maybe I do 1 or 2 realtor referral deals a month, like at most, and then the rest is all direct to seller.
How do you like, what does it look like as far as building those relationships, or is this just over time now your name's out there and they just
So
come?
I think because I've obviously been in real estate for a long time now. So I've built relationships over the years while I was a realtor. And then in title insurance, my main job was to build relationships with realtors to use me for title, right? So I did have, like, I would say maybe a little bit of an inside track because I was building so many relationships with realtors that I would then, put out at the time when I was still in title that I would be looking for flips to buy. And so over the last couple of years, I've built a name for myself with those realtors to bring me deals. New opportunity and new relationships. A lot of them come actually from Instagram.
You're really good at Instagram, by the way. I like your Instagram. You're really good at Instagram. I like your Instagram.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's dope. What made you want to go direct to seller if you already had these relationships, this pipeline? It's a big market, San Diego. It's expensive. What made you want to go direct to seller?
It's a sustainable, in my opinion, it's a sustainable business model. Like, we can control our inputs and our outputs when it comes to direct to seller. We have KPIs. We know our stats when it comes to, I know Strat and I were talking about like our leads to contract and all these different things. We can control that with marketing. We can control that with our advertising costs. With realtor referrals, there's not really, we can probably create some type of data or statistics behind it, but I didn't feel like it was controllable. I'd rather have something that our team could control in regards to output and input.
Makes total sense.
And then what do you feel comfortable sharing what your monthly marketing spend is right now?
It averages, but I would say anywhere between 40 and 60,000. At the highest, we've gotten to like 75.
Why did it go down? When you're at like 75, what made you realize like, I got to cut back on this?
So I started this last year. So 2024 for me was a year of testing. So I literally had spend in every provider that you can think of. And I'm sure we all go to these masterminds where they all talk about the new hottest thing or, a PBL provider or whatever it is. In any market, no one really knows what's working unless you try it. And so, like, I could tell you what's working for me in my market, but you guys can test it in your market and it may not work in your market.
Totally.
So for me, I took my budget, I diversified it through multiple channels, and I just tested everything. And I gave it enough runway to last me 3 months for each of these channels. And I saw what was profitable and what was not profitable. So 2024 for me was a year of testing specific marketing channels that worked the best for San Diego County. And 2025 was a year of cutting back and only having what was giving me a higher ROI. So I think for anyone starting this up, for people who are looking to go to direct to seller, it is an expensive game to play. But truthfully, you do have to be able to be willing to test marketing channels to see what's going to work for your specific market.
Yeah, you said something that was super true on the PPLs. There are some that I've used in my market and spend tens of thousands of dollars testing out and not gotten the results that I've wanted. Whereas I know other people have used, continue to use, and get results. And that's coming from somebody, not to say that we're perfect and we never make a mistake, we never miss a deal, but we're doing this day in and day out. We've got a good system down. we shouldn't get those results if it's working good for us in our market. Like it should yield results. So yeah, I mean, you got to be willing to test, because if you find the right one, you can really take off with it. And if you find the wrong one, you got to identify that and, pivot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Who was the best provider you used? Like, what were the top 5 things that you decided to go into?
So if are we talking specifically about PPL? So I'd
say like all marketing channels. You're like, okay, sure, these are the ones and these are the providers that actually work.
There's another thing too that comes with doing direct to seller marketing, and I'll answer that question, but there is seasonalities to all of our different marketing channels, right? Like I think we've all seen it. We were just talking before this started, for me, direct mail was my biggest, highest performing for the longest time. And I've oversaturated my marketing when it comes to direct to seller, or excuse me, when it comes to direct mail. Now, PPC last year was like a big hit, and then it went down, and then now it's like a hit again. Everyone's talking about PPC and how the ROI on PPC. PPL has always been trickled in, because I think it all has to do with, they're using similar things like what PPC companies do in order to get our own PPC leads. But there is waves, direct mail and texting was working for a long time, right? And that wave is now coming back again. It wasn't last year. So we had it at the beginning of the year, we turned it off, and then now is there. So the highest performing channels have always varied, but I'll tell you, like in terms of from an ROI perspective, direct mail and cold calling has been my highest.
And bro, tell everybody about your stats with cold calling, which I think is crazy. Hopefully no one watching this is in your market, because if I was in your market, I'd fucking go hire 10 people today.
Yeah, they probably will. So I'm in my KPIs right now. So what stats do you want to know?
Your leads per contract with cold calling, I think.
So 86 leads per contract is what our average is right now. And
then your average acquisition price is probably $1 million, right?
I don't have that stat in here, but our average profit per deal, so our ROI on it right now is almost 1,000%. It's at 8.5.
Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane numbers on cold calling.
You spend how much on it?
How much did I spend on cold calling?
Yeah.
Total cost is $33,550.
Okay. Is that a month?
This is all year so far.
Okay. So
anyone who's watching can do the math on what 900% of that is.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
What was the worst provider that you used? This just isn't working for us.
Okay. Well,
you don't have to throw out a company name, but hey, this channel just does not perform in our markets. Unless that company did.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. There's a lot of people. I'll just say this: there's a lot of PPL providers that don't work, or I have not found success with in my market. There's a lot of PPL providers that I haven't found success with, and then also too, in terms of direct mail, there are data providers that I've tried in the past where our ROI hasn't been the best. Like I was saying before we jumped on this thing, I think in certain markets, everyone is looking for direct distressed sellers. But sometimes in San Diego, our sales or our acquisitions are not with people who are distressed. Like for example, I closed on one today. Normal family, they inherited the house. They were just looking to offload it, sell it, and they wanted to sell it quick. The house was in great shape, right in the lake near my office. Sick house. They wanted convenience and they wanted cash. So we came in non-contingent and quick close. So those situations happen very often in San Diego, whereas they're not always facing foreclosure, or there's not always liens on the house. So it's always very dependent.
Do you think that's more common in the bigger cities? And if so, why do you think that's more common? I feel like I've heard that more frequently in San Diego.
Yeah, I think it's just an expensive market. I mean, a lot of these, the one today, for example, the house was paid off, right? So when they inherited the house, there was no liens or anything else on it. I think maybe wealth has to do with it. If someone's inheriting the property or if it's an estate, there are times though, like we do have stuff that people do have a notice of default that's filed. But I would say it's probably a 50-50 across the board between like overly distressed and not distressed.
Yeah, some dude asking for money, bro. Mr. Moneybags. What was I going to say? With that, I personally think you have the best business I've heard of so far, based off of your numbers.
Well, thank you.
And
Appreciate that.
the amount of leads you have to go through to generate that amount of revenue, and the types of sellers you deal with, because it doesn't sound like you deal with the fucking crazy people. To where majority of the time we are dealing with psychotic people. Yeah. Anybody who's selling their house at a discount typically is not in the right headspace, in my opinion. They got problems, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we have a job.
Yeah, like we have a job because these people have problems.
I definitely feel like we deal with crazies all the time. Yeah, we deal with crazy. I think it happens with anything, especially when people are trying to sell a house. You know, a lot of times what makes our job challenging with people that aren't selling with a realtor that don't understand the process correctly. So we've had to really get good at our transactional process to stay in touch with our current sellers that we have onto the pipeline so that they stay calm and don't get crazy. But, you know, we try to control it the best that we can. Now, last year, I think we had a lot more people where that process for us was a lot more complicated, and we struggled with that. Constant headaches with deals that we had in the pipelines where we had to put out fires all the time with people either wanting to back out of deals or, you know, not feeling comfortable or safe in a transaction with us. And that's not good. And I think a lot of that just comes down to communication. So now we've kind of figured in the correct process to make sure that everyone feels comfortable while moving forward with us.
What was the issue that was causing that cold feet in your sales process? Like, just what did you identify?
Lack of communication, setting up proper expectations during the transaction.
So like, hey, so now, Mr. Seller, that we're working together, you signed this agreement. Now, Sally is going to call you, introduce, like, is it that aspect of it toward just those little pass-offs and everything else in your sales process?
We had that part. We just didn't have, like, once we transitioned to that next part of the next person reaching out, that next person wasn't as diligent as what we have now. So now we have like weekly emails that go out or bi-weekly emails that go out that are just check in with the process to make sure the transaction coordinator is checking in with escrow to make sure things are moving along correctly, whether we need to set up our inspection or contractor walkthroughs, things like that. So that those processes are just a little bit more streamlined. Last year, it was kind of like we were just trying to figure it out as we went a little bit. So we kind of got to get punched in the face in order to learn like what things were issues and what things weren't. And so
I mean, but that's all business, bro. You know, like you don't know until you know. And then out of nowhere, you're like, oh man, this is a real problem. Then you build it and then something else will eventually pop up. Do you manage your transactions yourself, or do you have like a third party TC?
We have a transaction coordinator that's local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have them in house, or you just have a company you use?
They are an independent. They work with other realtors, and so we've had her come jump in on our stuff. But she has like a company email. She's in our CRM all the time, so like we tag her and stuff like as if she was one of our own employees. So we just pay her per file.
Oh, and it's just per file. You don't bonus her out or anything?
No, just per file.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, especially because most of our stuff is quick. You know, let's call it 21-day closes. You know, we have some that are a little bit more complicated that are, you know, let's call it 60, but we've created that process to where it's not a lot of handholding on anyone's part because we have those, like, she has these emails that we've generated and we've created together to where she's coordinating with escrow and then she's coordinating with the seller. She's coordinating with escrow, coordinating with the seller. So it keeps everyone kind of on the same page throughout the entire process.
And so go ahead, Dean.
I was just going to add, do you hand it off to the transaction coordinator from acquisitions to transaction coordinator at that point to where they're not having to talk to the seller anymore? Just hand it off, sellers being handheld by transaction coordinator now?
Our acquisition still talks to them the majority of the time as well.
Yeah.
I would say
like you kind of have to.
You do. I think most of the acquisition people, they build a connection with them, especially when we're digging in deep to situation.
Yeah.
Because as you guys know, like in order for us to get some of the prices that we need, there has to be a bigger situation that we're uncovering.
Yeah.
And so when people open up to our acquisition people, a lot of time they get connected. And so it does make it, I think, a little bit easier for the acquisition people to stay in touch with them as well. So I think it is split 50-50. I think it's hard to just like completely cut ties and like, no, don't talk to the seller anymore when that's the person that you've been talking to the entire time.
Do you do all over San Diego, or do you get focus and niche in a specific area? How do you kind of address your market?
So I only like flipping in North County. That's because of where I live, and I don't have the project management side set up for myself yet. I'm actually working on that now because I do have some deals that we've closed on, like in Ramona, and I have one in Santee. So like now I'm trying to incorporate that a little bit more so I can start buying some stuff that's outside of my specific market. In terms of assigning, no, I have no criteria. So like our direct to seller stuff is widespread. I do have specific criteria when it comes to our data. Like there's certain cities that I don't necessarily market to, but some of those deals just land in our lap.
Yeah. So you'll do all of San Diego County, north and south when it comes to wholesaling. What are you finding in the market? In a big market like that, I find it always interesting to talk to people, especially people getting results that they want to get. I know some of the big monsters in San Diego living down in this area myself. And is it just tough? Do you feel like it's big enough that it's big? It's not a big deal. It's totally fine for me. It's no problem. Sure, there's competition, but it's so big that it doesn't really matter. What are you finding?
So a lot of people, whenever I talk about San Diego, they always are fearful of going into a market that they feel is oversaturated. And to me, especially doing it now and being kind of early and not being in this for 5-10 years, I think it's a limiting belief. I think you do have to spend money in these bigger, expensive markets in order to take some type of coverage. But I think it's a limiting belief if someone thinks that they can't jump into an expensive market like San Diego. Is it challenging? Absolutely. But I think you're going to run into challenges in any market. And I would just say this, and I know you guys are maybe in a lesser expensive market. You guys may deal with even more competition than what I would deal with in terms of offers on deals
100%.
because it's a lot easier for the barrier of entry. So right now with what I've dealt with over the last few months, now that the market has shifted, I personally, because I still underwrite all the deals, I've noticed for myself that I've been underwriting more conservatively, and some of the bigger operations are still underwriting more aggressively. And so that to me is very interesting because I don't want to get into this reputation to where I'm locking up deals too high, having to go back and renegotiate or cancel or fall out.
Yeah.
But I'm still seeing these deals move. Like maybe they're running at like maybe 30% of those deals fall out. But from a revenue perspective, especially when we have this high marketing cost, they're willing to take the risk on locking up these deals higher than I'm willing to in certain cases in the last couple of months. But it's paying off for them. And then I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? So that's what over the last few months I've been dealing with in terms of the business. So I do have to make a little bit of, some slight adjustments to that, but yeah.
Do you think they just have better buyers than you, or are they taking it down?
But I think we can all say that if they have the buyers, we should have the buyers too. But do they have a better disposition process? Probably.
Because
are they more aggressive with that end of things? I can probably say confidently, like, sure, they probably have the ability to sell them at a higher cap than I can.
Yeah. Because if they were taking them down, I'd be like, well, you won't see the data for another 9 months to really see if they lost their ass or not. And as a smaller operation, if you are taking down flips, I personally feel like I'd want to be conservative, because if the market shifts on you and you're holding $10 million worth of fucking debt and the market shifts a little bit, an extra 30 days really hurts.
Sure.
If you're a solo operator, in my opinion. So that's why I feel like you got to give yourself a little bit of grace there. You can be really. Go ahead.
I'm looking more on the assignment side, because I think as you guys know, like there's a difference between us locking up deals is like with deep discounted flip margins, especially depending on where our appetite is, depending on where our cash is and all those things. Like if we don't have a ton of inventory and this deal comes across our desk and it's a really good deal, but like, would someone else buy this deal from us for $50,000 more because they only want to make 20 or 15 on a flip? Maybe, right? So I have to be able to take the lens of like, not just analyzing deals for flips, but analyzing them for wholesales. And so my problem recently has been I'm underwriting these deals as if I'm willing to take these deals down because it's been harder to assign deals to investors instead of looking at it like I should be locking this up at an assignment price so that we can still make revenue for the company.
That's fair. I'm lean to your side to where I hate canceling contracts and I hate having to renegotiate because I just feel like a dirtbag. Because lots of people, like their entire business model is to retrade someone halfway through escrow or like 3 days before closing. Knock, knock. Hey, sorry, bud. We need a $50,000 reduction or we're out.
Yeah.
And to me, that feels so shady because I'm telling this person, I got you. Like, I'm going to take care of you. This is what we need to do. So that is a hard thing to juggle to where I guess they're just more confident that they're not going to have to retrade, or that is a part of their business model.
Or they don't care, and I think
or they don't care.
I've emotionally dealt with, like, I care about people still. I'm still human. We've had to deal with, price reductions. We've had to deal with cancellations. We had, not that 3 days prior to the close of escrow, but like, a few weeks into the close of escrow or whatever it is, like there's definitely been those times where like the market shifted or we found foundation issues or, things came up. But I don't want to be that person. And so like, I feel like my morals are like, go back and forth a little bit when it comes to locking up deals too high and taking a risk where I'm like 70-30, I can assign it. Maybe 30% I can't, 70% I'm going to need a reduction. So,
yeah. And then there's still, and I got this from Eric Klein, and I never thought about it that way. He was like, if we have 100% success rate, then we aren't locking up enough. He's like, we should probably have a 85 to 80% success rate because that extra 20% will help us out a lot. Just like in our storage facilities, we want to be 80% occupied. If we're 100% occupied, that means our rents are too low. And so we want to like manage that, get it back down to 80 again, where we know we're profitable. We're making even more money, if we were at 100% compared to 80%.
What do you think most operations are running at though? Because I would guess that they're probably at like a 50% or more fallout rate. Like some of the major, I would even say small time operations too, that don't run a very even the big boys, I feel like they would be at a pretty high cancellation rate.
If you're nationwide, our fallout rate is 40% at least. Like on our stuff that's like in a random market, like full transparency, sometimes we're fucking retarded. And we like miss one thing. And it was such a blatantly obvious thing when we go to dispo it. And then we just have to go back. And sometimes like you can't even get a price negotiation. Like, bro, this thing's just dead in the water.
Right.
To where that's a part of it.
Last year, we were at about 85% success. This year, we started out with deals falling out early, and some of them were our fault. Most of them weren't. They were title issues. They were just deals that were good, and then a lien came up or a payoff came up too high. Things that are just out of your control. I mean, for instance, past week we had 2 deals we got under contract that were great deals, but they were just at the finish line right before going to auction, and we couldn't get them postponed. There was nothing we could do. They fell out. One today, this morning, got under contract with, a couple $100,000 spread. I mean, it would have been a monster deal, but it just didn't work out. Right. So we're operating more in like the 60s to 70. I haven't looked at it specifically recently, but it's been starting to trend back upwards to where we're used to being, because just the beginning of the year, there was a little bit more bumps with deals like that. But we've been more consistent with a lot less fallout or issues the past couple months for sure.
I think like almost those deals to me wouldn't even count against you in terms of your fallout rate. Yeah. Like, because those things you really can't control. Like to me, a fallout would be, we have to go in for a reduction, right? Or we can't move the deal. Like that to me would be more of a fallout. Like if something happened where we couldn't move the deal and we locked it up too high. The other stuff, like those are just not controllable for us or our team, because we same thing happened with us last week. We got a phenomenal deal, put it in escrow. The guy supposedly had I forget what it was. There was liens and judgments and a bunch of different shit, but he got it cleared up with the court, and he didn't get it cleared up. So like now we have this deal that we thought was a huge deal that now it's, we're either sitting in escrow until he figures it out with the court or we cancel. So,
Yeah.
but that wasn't like on you or me or anyone on my team or your guys' team that could control that. I think the ones that we can control are the ones where we're underwriting the deal that we think is right or it's wrong. We're locking up too high and we can't move them. Then we have to go in for a reduction. I think even a reduction to me would be a fallout. Like I think that would be an interesting stat to track too.
Yeah. But I will say all sellers are liars at the same time. This is one thing that we deal with. Mostly everybody's a fucking liar. Yeah. No matter what, we'll get inside and it's like, bro, this is not what you said it was. But we try and set that up early in the sales call. And when we go to close, like, hey, as long as everything is what you say it is, we're good. But we always throw in a story about a woman in Michigan who told us there was a little bit of foundation issues. We sent our boots on the ground over there and the house was in a fucking sinkhole. Like half of the house was like dropping into a sinkhole. She's like, yeah, it's a little bit of foundation issues. Like, ma'am, like this is way bigger than foundation.
The ground is eating this.
Yeah, that's way beyond that. I mean, that's a little different too. I feel like that's not your fault either.
Yeah, so I think 10 to 15% is probably nonsense, especially if you're in the heavy niche stuff. Those are typically messy anyways. And like that stuff's going to kind of like pop up regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard juggling act. How much are you making any money by sending retail deals to referrals for realtors?
Yes. So I have an agent relationship. I actually list the majority of my stuff with them. They, oh shit. I don't know. Hold on.
You froze, but we can hear you.
There we go. I'm just going to turn this other one on. My camera got all wacky. So
probably got too hot. I used to have that happen to me.
Yeah, it never does that. A surprise, but oh well. So with my realtor relationships with people who bring me deals, if I have direct to seller deals that I close on, I will a lot of times relist them with them if I buy them as flips. So I kind of give and take. So a lot of people who feed me a lot of business from like big real estate teams that I work with, I give them the listing. And then sometimes too with these referrals that we get, because a lot of times if they don't work for us and they do want to go the realtor direction, I will refer them out to them and then split commission either 50% or take 25%, depending on the deal.
Okay.
So I'm curious.
I don't track that revenue at all from like a referral perspective. Because to me, I feel like I'm going to get it back from like getting referrals from them for like a flip perspective.
That's fair. What are you going to say, Dean?
I was gonna transition a little bit and ask you about what you're seeing in the market right now. So you just had a monster month, okay? $700,000 in revenue. That's huge. Is that your biggest month you've ever had? Is that extremely out of the norm? Is it relatively close? What does that mean for you when you have a month like that, right? What does that mean for you? What does that look like?
So that was not this last month. That was
March.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was a few months ago. We consistently do. It's been like 2.365 and projected right now, and then this isn't including realtor referrals, and $1,778,000 from direct to seller alone. So that's been the last 7 months.
Say that one more time. What are the numbers?
Actual closed $1,778,000, and then projected is 2.3675. But that's not including any realtor referral stuff.
Okay. So your projected is like deals on the board, under contract, you're working through them, inventory, all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then actuals, deals, close, money in the bank this calendar year.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. What percentage are you typically for like wholesaling versus flipping?
This year has been primarily wholesaling up until recently.
Okay.
We've
So
closed
most of that income relatively wholesale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The realtor referral is funny. When the market's good, the realtor referrals kind of dry up. That's why when we were talking in the beginning of the podcast, it's like, having a predictable business is very important. And I think, having the direct to seller stuff and being able to kind of diversify that into the channels that we diversify into is important. Because if I was to live off just the realtor referrals, don't get me wrong, it would be, probably a great income and not have, higher overhead, but it's not a sustainable business, because when the market shifts and realtors feel like they can just put the house on the market and get, multiple offers or get more than what we'll pay for it, then we're not valuable anymore. And so I think in the changing markets, we become more and more valuable for convenience and what the sellers are looking for. Because it's funny, a lot of the deals that we've had from the direct to seller deals we're starting to track this, that we've made offers on and they decided to list instead, they are still sitting on the market for less money, or they're listed slightly above to where we offered them 6 months ago.
Wow. What do you think when you see that? Are you like, thank God I didn't buy it?
Of course. But all those were going to be assignments.
Fair.
But thank God I didn't assign those either, because I would feel bad for the buyers that are buying them.
Sure.
But I have
Are prices moving that much?
I think so. The data doesn't say that, but I think in certain markets, like the one that I'm talking about specifically is in a 55, I'm sure, Oceana 55 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Those, some of those condos, some of those townhouses will go for like 500. One of them we offered like 335, and now they're listed for 350, or they've been listed for 350. They've been on the market for 90 days or 120 days, something like that. So, it's just those areas that have higher inventory levels. In other spots, like, Carlsbad, those markets are still hot, right? Like I had a flip in Carlsbad that was sold in 3 days, like 5K below list with no credits. It was a great deal. We were in and out of that thing in like,
what kind of price point is that one?
I bought it at 7 and sold it at like 990. I think we put 55.
That's a hot price point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a townhouse. So it was in one of the attached communities, but still, you find those markets, and that's what I'm paying attention to, like flip or wholesale, right? If I'm going to flip, and especially like even with realtors, I'll pass on deals, even if I know that I can assign them, because I don't want to like be that guy who's assigning a deal with a realtor and then they're never going to send me a deal again. Yeah. So I'm being very particular in the deals that we're closing on in terms of, is there a ton of active inventory over there? Is it unique? Like, does it have a unique quality than like something else that's going to come on the market at a similar price point? Those are all things that I pay a lot of attention to. And then in terms of assignments, like to me, those lower price point deals right now, like I would rather just assign those deals and move away from them than to do those. Like I'm talking like, in East County or in different counties that, let's call it like a $600,000 price point worth $850. Like those deals, I feel like due to interest rates, buyers, are having a tougher and tougher time qualifying or being able to afford those price points. Like we've run out of a lot of buyers who can afford these higher mortgage rates. So I kind of like the higher end stuff right now, where those buyers maybe are a little bit more sophisticated, but interest rates don't affect them as much.
Bro, that's a lot of. Here, I was talking to a realtor. I was talking to Cam Wade, and Cam said everything sits on the market at least for 45 days now. She was like, you're 45 days minimum before an offer even comes in.
That's what it was like when I got started, man. I mean, I was thinking this flipping game, right? We get in, you put it on the market, it gets sold, and then it would just sit there for like a month without an offer. And I'd like look at my partner like, when are we getting an offer here? It's like, dude, this is what it's like, just be patient. And then there was, buyer closing costs, credits, and all that kind of stuff. Very common when I got started. That was me flipping in 2014, 15 timeframe. Was really common in that market. So I see a lot of that. Are you feeling that or seeing some of that in San Diego market at all?
So I always try to check myself a little bit because I agree with you. I feel like right now we're coming into this. We're not in a normal market, but it's normalized when we first got started into real estate. Like having the 30 to 45 day market timing was so normal, right? And maybe not getting close to asking, but slightly below asking was very normal. So we've gotten spoiled with COVID where we got like 100K over asking or 150K and we're making these big multiple 6-figure spreads on these flips. It's just not the reality of what today's market is. And I think I'm still having to convince myself every single time we have these conversations that like, we're just not in that anymore. We have to understand that it is a normal market. There are a lot of outside things with politics and other things that are kind of in the way of things right now too. I think that could be affecting the market, but yeah, I think now we're just kind of in this, like, this is the new norm.
Strat, imagine if we were in the San Diego market or similar market, 100K over asking. I mean, we were getting 10, 20, 30, maybe 40K over asking, but like 100 or plus K over asking. I mean, that would be pretty nice.
Yeah, that's bananas, bro. Like that's very sexy, but that's very, I think with real estate, now that I've seen, and I haven't been in it for super long, when those times come, you just stack cash as much as you fucking can, because then this comes and it's very, very stagnant. So you got to make hay while you can, be as greedy as possible, because it's going to last 12 to 18 months. Well, I don't know. COVID was popping, bro.
That was a couple years, man.
Yeah, COVID was
2020, that was legit, a couple years.
2022 midway through, that was super popping. Yeah, I'm interested to see if that'll happen again.
Yeah, went hyperbolic for a little bit there, but it was solid run for sure. You said your team was lean. Did you say how many team members you had? I might have missed it.
2 acquisitions and an assistant, and then I have VAs for all of our like KPIs and tracking and marketing stuff.
Okay. What about for Dispo? Who does that?
I'm still doing Dispo. And then I do have a guy that does help me do Dispo as well. He's just a third party. So anytime we need help, I'm bringing him in. So yeah.
That was me. So that was the last hat I was wearing. Just hired somebody for that role. And so glad that I did. It definitely lifted a lot off of the day in and day out. It allowed me to, when on vacation in Hawaii for a month, 32 days, we just got back last week. I could do my daily huddle, and then the rest of the day I could not fully check out, because like, hey, the business is my baby. It's what pays the bills and what I put my whole life into. So I still check in, I still help problem solve here and there, but I could truly not have to do any work throughout the entire day, and could go out and, have fun with my family. So I'd encourage you, even though I like to be super lean as well. That was the last hire that I made. And I think it makes a big difference. It also depends on what your day looks like too. I got 5 kids, so it's like, as much as I love to work, there's just a point where I can't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
I just got, not only because I have a family, but because I want to spend time with the family and I want to coach the kids in sports. So what does your schedule look like? Like, what's your life set up right now? What are you able to do? What do you like to do?
So I actually, it's funny. I was just on a coaching call right before we jumped on this, and I've been talking about Dispo for a long time. And I think a lot of like what I was talking about with underwriting, when you have a Dispo person, they will allow you to be more confident in where you can underwrite deals to assign them. And I think having that as a missing piece, for the longest time, I've been able to like email and text blast my deals out and get offers pretty quickly without having to make a whole lot of effort for the last, and that's why I've been struggling the last 2 months. Like, our revenue is still great and things are still moving and things are still good, but mentally I've been struggling because I'm like, do I lock this deal up where is everyone where do I need to be at on this thing? Can I even assign it those numbers? And so it is a massive priority for me right now to have a full, have someone in house for disposition, because it's going to make me more confident in being able to underwrite deals, knowing that I can move them. Because ultimately, I think for all of us, regardless of kids or no kids or whatever, initially when we start a business, we think that a business is going to create freedom for us. And we all know that it does not create freedom. It creates a job. And so at a certain point, like I was talking before we started this thing, I've been golfing. I've been wanting to have a hobby. I've been wanting to golf more, spend time with friends. And so I do finally feel like I'm at a place to where I can have a little bit more freedom. But it is still a challenge because I am still very involved in the business, and it is my baby, and I want to support my team and do all that stuff. So right now, the day-to-day is I am in the office, but I am giving myself grace after 2:00. So after 2:00, if I decide to go work from home, I'll analyze, and I'm still underwriting deals myself. So if I decide to go work from home at 2:00, I'll still be able to underwrite deals at the house. Or if, I decide to take a day off on a Friday to go golf, I give myself grace on doing that.
Yeah. Have you noticed the market adjusting for you, like slowing down at all? I just thought about this because I was at a Padres game and talking to a big fish, and he was asking me how the market was. I was saying, I was doing 15 to 20 deals last year, and the conversation got cut off there. And where the second half of that conversation was, but it's a lot slower for me now, right? It's slowed down almost in half, not quite as half, but almost at half. And we're trying to inch our way back up in there into the mid-teens. We're in the low mid-teens right now, and the market has slowed down. It's just slower, right? Mm-hmm. So, have you noticed that same thing, or
I'm assuming from an acquisition perspective?
Yeah.
Yes and no. So one of the things that I was paying attention to, I'm doing like a full audit in the business right now. We're actually noticing an increase in quality leads over the last few months, which is interesting, but we're seeing a decrease in acquisitions. So a mixture of a couple of different things. That's why I've been kind of honing in on underwriting a lot, because that's my one thing right now where I feel like I am doing a disservice to my team, even though I may be borderline doing the right thing. I don't think our deal flow, our acquisitions would have slowed down, but I think our fallout rate would have increased if I would lock up as many deals as we're getting through the door that we're making offers on. So I am just being a little bit more selective in terms of what we're locking up at what prices. Since I have it up, so like we average. So how many deals did I get this month? So we got contracts. So like March, we got 13 contracts. April was 4. May was 10. June was 5. And then July so far is only 2. So
July's been slower for us for sure.
It's been slow. Yeah.
It seems like the months go like this a little bit.
A little bit. We had a big, I think before March it was like 16. So like we've had some like big fluctuations, but it's not a lot of it because our marketing stays relatively the same for a long period of time. I think when we're talking about market cycles of marketing, I've felt the decrease in terms of our saturation of our direct mail, which was our highest performing through 2024 and the beginning of 2025. So when we're talking about a slowdown towards the end, I think a lot of it is like dependent on what marketing channel is working the best, especially when, let's call it, I'm spending, way more in one than I am in these other categories.
Yeah. I want to touch, man, there's a lot more things I want to go over. You got my mind racing now.
Sure.
I want to jump back to dispositions. We were just talking about this in your team. You said you were having a coaching call about it. Is it seem like that's like a next move for you that you're considering, or you're just thinking about it?
It is the next move for sure. It needs to happen regardless. Like it needs to happen.
I'd be super down to talk with you and give you just my experience and for onboarding, for compensation structure, for roles and all that kind of stuff. Because I just went through it. So I feel, feel like I could help you however I can.
And Josh, are you a control freak?
Am I? No.
Yeah. Okay. Dean's a control freak.
Oh, got it. Nice.
Yeah.
It took Dean forever to make the decision. It's been years of conversations to make sure he could get it done.
It's definitely just the fear. Hiring's tough. It's really tough.
It's part control, but then there's definitely part fear. It's just believing to hand over this baby, right? Mm-hmm. There's the party that feels that you're really good at it. Why would you want to give that to someone else? There's the fear about hiring someone and it not going well or not getting the results that you're getting now. There's a lot that it goes wrapped into, but each and every time I've been pushed by friends like Stratton to hire the next person, and I've got a small lean team also. I could not have been more happy in making that decision. Anthony says, I find
this is Anthony, and he's a baller. And poaching talent is easier. If you can find great talent who's a killer, just got a Rockstar TC.
Just got one. Just got one.
He's an absolute killer down in Orlando. Him and his brother are fucking monsters. But if you can get someone who's pre-trained, bro, it is a game changer.
So I've heard I've been in. There's obviously with changing times, like there's people who are shopping. What I've found is like we have a specific process, and some people are set in their ways of doing things. Where we try to adhere to how our process is, and so there may be some like ego involved or different things involved that that part of things is hard to overcome. And the biggest thing in my office and part of our core values is ego. Like you got to keep that shit at the door. Like you cannot have an ego walking into this fucking office. Like you just can't. So, and we all do, but like we gotta submit a little bit and know that like we don't know everything.
You got to have some, especially if you're an acquisitions guy. You got to have a little bit, but at the same time, you got to be open and you can't be stubborn, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we follow. So I've been coaching with Tiffany and Josh High for 2 years now.
Nice.
So we have I have all the training and onboarding stuff for how to put what I would need to put them through. It's just I've had to let go of four people over the last 2 years. And they've never been easy. They haven't been easy. So, and sometimes as the leader, you tend to, I don't know about you guys, but like I tend to blame myself. Like, did I do something wrong? Did I not train them? Did I not give them enough? Was I not there for them? So it's tough.
It's probably a sign of being a good leader and probably a sign of being a good person.
Maybe.
Just telling, based on all your responses and how you've talked about things so far, you can just tell, someone that's passionate, someone that cares about the results you're getting, the people around you, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's just a sign of you being a good person and a good leader. So,
and it is your fault, bro. It's always our fault.
It is. We picked the wrong person,
bro.
Yeah,
like one way or another, it still lands on us.
Yeah, it does.
So I've been curious as you've been looking at your screen, looking up some numbers. I'm a nerd for data and tools. Mm-hmm. What CRM are you using? What are you using to pull all this stuff and put it up in front of you?
So Power BI is what I use for my KPIs and tracking. So I use Crescent Tech, and then Podio is the CRM I use.
Okay.
Let's get you to Re-Simply, bro.
We need to talk about that.
Let's get you to Re-Simply. Let's get
so
you.
I had REI Simply, but mine does.
So you had the wrong one. It's not even REI Simply. It's Re-Simply. So he had the wrong one. He had the wrong one.
Yeah. I was on it before. It was just, it got to the point where, and again, this was early. So like I had it.
How far back?
Maybe like the beginning of 2024, maybe even end of 2023. Cause I started dabbling in direct to seller. I would say November of 2023. And that was when I hired my first assistant, which turned into an acquisition person. So she set up REI Simply. As soon as I joined I joined Tiffany and Josh like January of 2024. So a lot of their training and onboarding and all that stuff goes over Podio. So like to me, I was like, if I'm going to just follow a specific process, like I'm just going to go all in on this one thing and stick with it. Now, like, you know, we have just so many numbers and different categories and different stuff in that thing. That's like, there's no way I could switch now at this point.
That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been good though. I mean, CRMs are always one of those things where it's like, could you find something better? Could you have more features or to do more things? Of course. But like with ours, it is fully customizable. So like if I needed to add something or needed to do something, I could do it. But it also allows me for project management stuff like within Podio. We still have our cash buyers list in Podio. So there's a lot of like all-in feature, our transaction coordinators in Podio, because we have a transaction folder in there. So, which I know Resimply does that now too. So
Resimply has become, it was already sexy. It's become extra super sexy, but we'll have another conversation about that.
Yeah.
Guys, we have like almost 120 people on this watching. If you're watching this and you have any questions for Josh, drop a comment, let us know. Anthony, and this is another good point for anybody who is in sales, it is a revolving door. Dean, I don't know what it is. Maybe Dean's too soft or he's a great leader, but he doesn't have high turnover in sales. I've always had a super high turnover in sales. And so I do think it is hire slow, fire fast. And like you are constantly recruiting is what I've learned. Yeah. I need to always have my eye out for tons of talent to bring in the best talent because you never know what's going to happen. It's no different than raising money. It's no different than deal flow. I just think as a CEO, our job is just to be the ultimate salesman in 5 different facets and set the culture, bring in good people, bring in more money, bring in more deal flow in whatever way we can.
And I love culture. Like culture to me is a big part of it. Like all of our sales, like everyone, we've all been in sales for a long time, and it can beat us up, right? So being able to have like being in the office and be able to have that camaraderie, to be able to be like, man, I just got told to fuck off 10 times just now. I'm gonna go take a quick walk, punch myself in the face, and come back and make another 50 phone calls, right? Like we all have to be able to be there for each other. And that's why I love, because we're all in office. Like we're 100% in office. I don't have any virtual employees except for the VAs. So, and that's why I love being in here, because it's fun. Because as soon as like, you know, we get some of those offer calls and like we get in here and the bells ringing, like it's a good time.
Fired up.
The energy.
Yeah. Where'd you get that culture from? Do you have a sports background? Have you been at a big corporation that had good culture? You just had it innately in you, and you wanted to have that a part of your company, your business?
So sports, I've always played. So I played sports growing up, but it got to never at a high level. I always like had bad coaches or whatever, where it just like I didn't continue on, and then it started smoking weed, and then sports just like went to the wayside, and then I was like a little troubled kid to where I had to grow up. But some of my big corporate jobs, actually anything in real estate. So I used to work at a big team. When I was a realtor, the camaraderie in there was like nothing else. Like everyone was always like high-fiving and hugging and like, you know, all that stuff. And then, you know, corporate job, he's my best friend. The title company that I worked at initially, the vibe in that office was just insane. And like, we all like were close friends, and like we did happy hours together. And my boss he was my best man at my wedding. And, I was the best man in his, and we've been friends for now a long time. But he taught me a lot about like culture and office and your employees and seeing success through other people. And that to me is like the number one thing and the most important thing about having like a great office culture is like, now as us as leaders, you know, it's different. Like we can have success, but seeing success in others is now like what I live off of. And I think that's the funnest part about owning a business, is not like, oh, these cool revenue numbers and like leads to contract. No, like I want to see them make $25,000 a month or whatever their goal is. I think that's the special part that comes to us as business owners.
So besides, you know, doing deals, making money, ringing the bell, which is part of the culture, and I don't want to take anything away from that, I do want to ask what else in addition, besides creating that winning environment, which is probably the core Because if we're not winning, we're not going to be very excited about much. It's just Band-Aids we're putting on top with culture. But what other things are you doing to foster and create that? You know, I'm trying to think like what else could we be doing? What are some other little ninja tips that you have maybe?
It's like I think all of us are just a tribute to the same goal. And I agree, like deals aren't everything, but like you don't have a business without deals.
Yeah. You're saying it's the energy, right?
It's just I think it's the energy and the vibe in the office.
Yeah.
And like, I do think it says a lot because are you guys all still virtual?
Yeah.
I think it's that part of it. It's hard, like to create a culture via Zoom or like over the phone. And so I feel like we've done a good job at like doing that because we're in office. And it has been a requirement. I opened this office beginning of 2024. We remodeled this place. It literally looks like a house. Like the front's all couches.
It's really nice,
all around. Like it's sick. And I did that because I wanted it to feel like just a vibe, you know, where we're blasting music, making phone calls, and just having a good time with everyone in here. So, I think a lot of it just comes with being in office and being together, because we don't do anything like outside of the office. We've done some. There's probably like maybe 3 or 4 times that we've done like a happy hour or like a nice dinner. But like, the girls in here, like I'll randomly get them spot days, right? Like go send them to La Costa, go like whatever day they want to take off. Even if it's during the week and it's there, like I've done it. Like I've just surprised them with doing it. One of them wanted to go to Disneyland and take her kids. I literally just bought the gift card and I sent it to him. And that day it was like, we had like 2 deals in the pipeline or whatever it was. Like it was a total win day. And I was like, done. Like I'm going to take care of it. So just being like that thoughtful leader, I think is really important. It's definitely not about me, right? Like it's about everyone else and about everyone else winning at the same time as all of us.
100%. I love it. What are some final words you have for the people?
Man, I don't know. I appreciate you guys having me on. This business is tough. I think for any business is tough. You just got to roll with the punches. And I think, for anyone who can take something out of this call, I know we were talking a lot about numbers and things like that, tracking. If you're not doing that and you do have this type of business and you are struggling, if you're not tracking, you're not going to know why you're struggling. Whether it's KPIs, which is more important, or KPIs, sales calls, all those things. Like I can pinpoint when we're not getting deals and things are happening, I can pinpoint why those things are, because we have the ability to track everything. So my advice to everyone, if they're starting, they're struggling, your one-man show or whatever, just make sure you're tracking all of it, even if it's a small amount.
I love it. Bro, where can people find out more about you?
Josh _Giordani.
On Instagram?
Instagram, yep. And my TikTok has become my golf post, so no one can follow me there. But we are doing some cool stuff. I stopped doing my like normal real estate TikTok and I'm just posting golf shit. But we are doing some cool stuff with YouTube. We are now doing, because I'm buying more deals right now and some really cool stuff. We are going to start doing, I've been recording them to start launching them, but we're going to do like some HD TV style videos for all of our flips moving forward. So we're going through and doing some like deep before and afters and spending a lot of money to do it. So brought on a video guy and going to have some fun doing that. So
what made you want to do that? Like that type of style?
So as you guys know, talking about like podcasts and numbers and all that stuff, I personally was never going to start a coaching program. Or like, I love helping people and I love giving advice. But what I've found is a lot of people that I give advice to, like would come into my office and then start the business that I'm doing right now. And then we'd compete on deals and I'd lose deals, which is totally okay. And I don't care. I do, but I don't. Right.
But I really do.
Yeah. I wanted to find something to where we can showcase what we're doing to also realtors, and showcase, because I think the viewability on YouTube for doing like an HGTV style video is a lot higher than, talking about how we assign contracts, which I still love to talk about. And I still love coming on these types of podcasts, but I feel like it wasn't fulfilling me when I was doing it. So My goal with it is to try to produce revenue for the business. So by documenting some of these deals and some of these flips, hopefully we'll attract the right audience with realtors who will bring us deals that want some like cool, badass projects that they can relist and they can be featured on the YouTube channel and things like that. So I thought it would be like a fun little project.
I love it, bro. Thank you so much for coming on. Guys, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week. Don't forget about the Deal Champs community. If you are interested in it, go to dealchamps.com/apply. I got to get a little ticker at the bottom.
We'll get the ticker going.
All right, guys. Peace. Thank you.